Welcome to another episode of Top Rated Gym, the podcast that helps ambitious gym owners build profitable and sustainable fitness businesses. I'm your host, Andres Vujovic, and with every episode, we deliver actionable insights, expert advice, and success stories that helps you grow your membership, streamline your operations, and achieve financial stability. Even if you struggled with marketing challenges, operational overwhelm, or financial limitations in the past. Today, I have an incredible guest, Bryan O'Rourke, who is a CEO of Core Health and Fitness. With a remarkable track record in the fitness industry, Bryan has led organizations like Core Health and Fitness, Fitness Industry Technology Council, and Integrus Advisor LLC. He also served as a board director of Fitness 24/7 and HRSA, shaping the global health club and fitness industry. Bryan is a keynote speaker, author, and expert in business marketing, finance, and tech trends. He will share insights on boosting profitability, strategic value, and innovative solutions in the fitness industry. Let's dive into the world of fitness together with Bryan O'Rourke. Welcome to the show, Bryan.
Andre, thank you for your kind words. I'm glad you survived the hurricane there in Florida.
Yeah, we did. Luckily, we were on the East Coast. By the time it reached us, it slowed down big time. I'm on the south from the path of hurricanes, so Milton was not a threat to me. But seeing what's happening in Florida on the West Coast it's not an easy part. And I'm blessed to have you here, man. You are such incredible inspiration. You have vast experience, decades behind you when it comes to fitness industry. I believe many people will pay a fortune to sit next to you and listen to your advices. Can we share a little bit about your background, your story? How did you get into the world of fitness? And then we'll talk about what the future brings.
Yeah, sure, Andre. Thank you again for having me. I really appreciate it. And it's a pleasure to talk with your listeners. I started with a background in finance and originally was in the food and beverage industry and really started using technology to grow a number of franchise brands in food. You may have heard of Popeye's famous fried chicken. I worked for the founder of that company. And then went to work for several other companies where I was a stakeholder in Smoothie King franchises, which is a global brand now. And that's how I kind of came into the world of fitness. Both Al Copeland, the founder of Popeyes, and then Smoothie King was, in the nutritional beverage business. And we did work with mobile smoothie carts and 24-hour fitnesses in Houston. And then I met the Francos, who are in my home state of Louisiana, and they had a very well-known health club in Mandeville. And my wife and partner, Maureen, she became a contract CFO. And this was in like 1997. I was the CEO of several other companies at the time and had the pleasure of meeting the founders. And they were involved with HRSA, now in the Health and Fitness Association that's been renamed. And so those people asked me to assist them in raising some capital. I started learning about the industry because my wife turned their club around in Mandeville. And so we became involved in a lot of different areas of clubs. So I've been a club operator and owner and have had a lot of different businesses in this space for the last 25 or more years, actually. And now we have multiple businesses in the space, not only as a supplier, but as an owner in a chain of clubs in Bangkok, Thailand, Fitness 24/7, and a number of other pursuits, as well as being a person who's conducted about 18, 19 M&A transactions in the space as well in the last 7 years. So I've done a variety of things, and that's kind of my story. I'm very happy to be here and have the privilege that I've had to work with so many wonderful people in so many different ways.
Wow, man. Let me tell you, I envy you. Not on the experience you have, but I envy you on the energy you carry today talking about this, right? And I want to know what drives you, man. Where's this hunger coming from? It feels like you are not willing to slow down. It's like, bring it on. What juices you every day?
Yeah, I'm not a really excitable guy. I'm fortunate in my life and I like what I do and helping other people and being able to share perspectives that are hopefully helpful. And at Core, we have 1,700 people here that work around the globe serving 100 countries, as well as a whole team of fitness professionals around the world that train. Our other companies like Vertimax has a community of thousands of users of that product. So you are well aware, in the fitness industry, it's a great business. It's better than being in the cigarette business. It's better than being in other businesses. where, what you do has a direct impact on human beings in a positive way. So I'm just very fortunate. And I guess that's why I'm generally happy about what I do.
So you have great success in the past in pretty much multiple areas. What does the future look like for you and for core health and fitness? 10 years from now, paint the picture. Where are you guys? Can you talk about it?
Yeah. Yeah, sure. So first off, I don't know. We don't know. And I think that's really important. And I think it gets to, especially when you deal with larger organizations, because there is so much change. So it's a balance of being aware of opportunities, but at the same time, keeping your feet on the ground so you don't get too distracted by those things and you fundamentally execute the basics. We know in all our businesses, and core in particular, that there's a lot of great tailwinds when it comes to trends overall and demand for health, fitness, and wellness services. And we expect those to continue to grow. By our own forecast in the Fitness Industry Technology Council, I'm very optimistic that we're looking at probably global growth of around 4% a year, which means the business globally will double in the next decade and change. So when you start looking at that compound growth rate, we're very enthused in the industry in general. Now, how we meet the needs of a changing consumer, of changing business models, that carries with it a whole plethora of different things, some of which you can predict and some of which you can't. So I don't want to be too full of gusto and being able to guess what exactly that's going to look like. But like Jeff Bezos said in his famous interview, tell me about the things that are not going to change and build a business on that. And here's what's not going to change. People are going to want to be healthier and fitter. And a lot of reasons for that. Number one is the world is aging, and it's aging significantly. And there's two things people care about as they get older: health and wealth preservation. When you look at the global economics and the global demographic shifts, et cetera, whether you're in Europe, in APAC, in the Americas, wherever you are, those are the drivers that make me believe that we're going to see tremendous continued growth for health and fitness services. Now, how those things show up exactly, that's a big question. And I'm happy to talk about that in more detail if you like, because I didn't give you too specific.
No, I definitely want to. And one thing that you have, something that not many people do, is you've seen how things evolve and change over the last 2 or 3 decades.
Yes.
I want to go deeper into what has changed in the last 2, 3 decades since you're part of the industry, and how we can learn from them and apply that to the future. I love what you said about not changing things that needs and drive will increase and stay with it on a current. But let's talk about your perception of the last 2.5 decades. How is it different today than 20 years ago?
Yeah, so there's a thing that I've termed called money, M-U-N-E, the money concept. And M is first mindset, U is user experience, N is new economics, and E is execution engine. And if you look through that lens, both in the past and going forward, I think it provides us a roadmap to create context in how to look at the past and the future. So
please,
mindset is the first thing, which it used to be 30, 40 years ago, you could plan pretty reliably based on the past because the rate of change wasn't as so great. And now it's more challenging to assume that things won't change as fast, if not faster. So what you've seen in a mindset approach to the industry space is a shift to digital in many respects as a big component of user experience. And by the way, when you look at money, M-U-N-E, that I defined, all of these things coalesce and integrate with each other. So when you think about mindset is your attitude about the world and its change. Because you can look like an ostrich, you can have your head in the sand and pretend nothing's going to change. And then you could be maybe too robust in your reliance on things changing faster than you can predict. Yeah. So mindset has to do with how you see the world, how you respond to it, and what you believe. And so that's one part of it. And the challenge for that today is clarity, because there's so much information. It's very difficult at times for people to understand what's really relevant and what isn't as relevant. Yeah, that's very challenging. So if you look back, for example, at mindset, the low price delivery system of gyms was an imagination 15, 20 years ago. And putting boutiques aside in the present stratum of boutiques, growth in membership in health clubs has been largely through low price models. And if you had said that 30 years ago, people would have thought you're crazy. But the reality is that the medium price for a health club membership has dropped tremendously in the last 40 years. In 1984, according to IHRSA's international report, that price per month was around $40, $38, $40. Guess what it is today? About the same. About the same.
And inflation from 1984 till today, it's like 40 years back.
Yes. You could buy a Toyota or Honda car back then for about $5,000. And now that's 6 to 7 times that price. So
imagine gym membership at $200 today.
Correct. And what's happening is the market is bifurcated. And like it has in a lot of consumer goods areas, you've had a huge shift to value and treasure hunting, and then a shift to luxury up and demand experience. So mindset and how you see that change is very, you can look backwards and then look forward and ask yourselves, hey, what does that mean? And this also delves into, Andre, user experience. So, which is very interesting because, as you know, people are less patient than they used to be. How user experience is delivered has a plethora of options that weren't around 30 years ago. Yet at the same time, Andre, so many operators of facilities don't recognize clients and members when they come in the door. How have you been? How are you? Which is what people seek. And then goodbye. Thank you for being here. Or how's your mother doing? Or how's your son? How's your training? What can we help you with? So there's this blend of deft integration of technology used in the appropriate sense, and then the human interaction component of user experience design. Back in the day, 30 or 40 years ago, when you looked at clubs, traditional gyms, the level of differentiation on service offering was not nearly as high as it is today. So you have to be really deliberate about asking yourself the question, how am I going to compete in the market? And what user experience do I really want to design to be able to execute things very explicitly to differentiate? And so when you look at the history, what's happened is, things have changed in the ability for you to do these things, yet certain things haven't changed at all. It's kind of a dichotomy, if you understand what I mean. Anyway, and then we could go quickly into the new economics, which are basically, if you know what business you want to be in, you have the right mindset, then it's really about how are you going to make money? What are you going to do? What is your cost of acquisition? And right now, what is your lifetime value? What are those numbers? Do you really know those numbers? How are you creating ancillary revenue? And then with marketing changing, which is changing quite a bit, SEO, pay to play, all these dynamics are affecting CAC. Yes, huge changes. I mean, huge. And then you finally have the execution engines where, human capital, platforms, technology platforms, automation. So you see like Basic Fit out of the Netherlands, they have a huge infrastructure for automation because you have to drive costs down in certain models to be able to make profitability make sense. So when you look at the past, you can see how these kind of dynamics have ferreted themselves through the industry. And then it's kind of a dichotomy. I mean, I think that it's a more competitive marketplace, but there are more opportunities if you know what you're doing and you're thoughtful to create value for yourself. You just have to be very thoughtful about how you want to do that.
And it's like almost we're getting deeper into unique experiences. We didn't have that many gyms that were more expensive. Now we have plethora of experiences and different opportunities. There's like 30, 40 different gyms nearby that I can go visit and try it. And everybody's competing with the market. I myself have 3 memberships, and I have recovery center memberships, and I have like personal training and group training and gym workouts, and like boom. And people are now tapping into more and more in that health conscious. And I believe there's also a reason why people go to the gym is changing. It was promoted as Arnold Schwarzenegger's of the world, bodybuilding and so on, muscle, show off. Now people are going for well-being, for mind and mental energy and clarity. Demand of the world and stresses of the world, sleepless nights are creating demand for healthy living, and I balance this out.
Yes.
And the
Absolutely true.
reasons and market is expanding rapidly based on muscle building to feel good, now to understand cognitive reasoning of exercising, working out. And as we are getting wearables, I mean, I'm doubling down on my wearables because I'm reading so many signals around. It's like telling me how much I should work. There we go. How much, how often, everything. It's like, when is enough? I'm going to have ankles now. Things attached to my sleep. And in the same time, people are understanding recovery, how important it is, with the wellness pods and so on. What I see is a future, and I don't know if you agree, is huge wave will come in a form of AI. I don't think gym owners are ready to understand the impact of AI coming into the world of fitness. And what I'm seeing now, interviewing people, there's technology coming up where with a couple cameras in the gym, they can monitor you walking around. You don't need to check in on the machine. It's going to measure the workout, repetition, weights, and give you summary and give you progress by you doing nothing, just being present. And imagine now in a group environment, in a performance athletes environment, in the AI, when you start monitoring and having individual coaching, it's a game changer. And people who adopt the technology first will be one who is going to step ahead of the competition. AI is coming. By the end of the decade, Peter Diamandis says we'll have two kinds of businesses: those who fully utilize AI and those who don't exist. And it was Salimi from Google who says Singularity event is coming 2029. Singularity is
Actually,
moment.
Yeah. Kurzweil says 2045. Yeah. Depends on who you talk to.
The timeline. Depends who you talk to. All right. But it's going to happen. And then I believe fitness is going to stay as a need for workouts, because there's absolutely no way you can just put machine to work out for you. You got to sweat. You got to bring the endorphins and dopamines and energy into the body to make sure that the body produces what it needs to stay healthy. And there's a longevity aspect of that, understanding that our life will extend. Quality of life is measured not only how long we live, but how long we live healthy. So demand will not only be same amount of people using multiple services, but aging is extending. And people, now there's a brand like OsteoStrong that targets people in osteoporosis, reversing osteoporosis, like boom, and it's rapidly growing. So it's exciting to see where this is taking on. And I think this is one of the beautiful industries where we really contribute to the well-being of the people, of the community. And I think it's more needed, especially for some areas of where people are not aware and that they need to work out and exercise.
Yes.
Now,
and I would want to tell you something about that, if you don't mind, Andre.
Please.
Andre, what I think is going to happen is, I think, technology, digitization, intelligence, these are all very real things. And I believe that what is going to result is what is highly human that cannot be created by machine is going to become more valuable. So when it comes to what your AI can do for you, that's one thing. And this really relates to the money principles that I mentioned before, because when you look at user design, right? AI could service you in many different ways. It may be able to handle your schedules. It may be able to advise you. It may be able to do a lot of things to help you. And the more those things become ubiquitous, the more of what is truly human becomes more valuable. Empathy, relatability, humanism,
smile,
nature.
greeting.
Yes.
It's participation, care, that when you walk into the gym, somebody sincerely can look at you in the eyes and say, hey, welcome. What's up?
That's
Gives you a high five. That's going to be never replaced. And that's something that heart understand more than anything. Like, yeah, I can automate all text.
That's right.
We're guilty of the same thing. My company, Referrizer, just released AI for the text messaging back and forth. And honestly, doesn't drop the ball, schedules you, explains you, guides you, never takes days off. It really helps prevent dropping the leads ever. Conversion goes to the roof. And I'm thinking this is the thing that employees don't like to work anyway. Like things annoying that you have to chase the lead and follow up and answer the phone call and try to pursue somebody is like annoying thing that is, I have to do it. We call it the red mark tasks. Like nobody likes it. We have to do it. Otherwise business doesn't survive. But those greeting, fun, conversations, coaching, something that we like, training people, seeing it, I think it's going to be more and more appreciated. This is totally true.
I agree.
love that comment.
I agree.
Now let's think about economics of the business. You've seen it all. Your side of the coach and consultant and speaker. You're on the side of being a vendor, being in their shoes. Let's pretend for a second that you're taking over the gym. You are helping your best friend to turn things around. What would you do? How would you start? How would you look into the gym? And because there's a lot of businesses out there that like trying to improve, but they blanked out on ideas.
Yes. So first off, it would depend on what type of gym it is. You'd have to understand the capabilities. And of course, there's issues with respect to money, et cetera. But the first thing you're going to want to do is understand the marketplace you're operating in as a single gym. What's your competition? Who your existing membership is? What program and services are you offering? And then you decide, am I going to make this product a more automated business that's lower price, or am I going to make it a more luxury experience that's more personalized with more human touch points? And what balance do I want to strike there? What programs should I be offering that address the marketplace, and why? So you have to do some research. You have to do surveys. You have to do consideration of these kind of things. Then you want to design your user experience. You want to go, how do I want to have the experience of buying membership, buying services? What experience should that individual have when they walk in and out of the club? And you want to design that very purposefully so that it fits your model of delivery. And then knowing your financial numbers, obviously, you're going to know your break even based on those assumptions, what your revenue mix is. And then you want to model that out. And then, you want to make sure you have the right culture in the organization. And then you want to go about executing that. But it takes research and understanding of what your capabilities are, what the market wants and doesn't have, and what is your capability of delivering things that people want or don't have. And then you play with that in designing user experience. And that's a combination of people and technology and industry insights on programming. Strength training is a big thing that is huge now. So there's certain equipment that you're going to want to see. Do you have it or don't? How are you going to offer these programs, et cetera? But it's a lot of homework at first and then going in and executing.
And I like what you're saying about user experience. A lot of gym owners are not aware about experiencing their own gym. If they have employees and they have no clue what this person have to go through in order to get there.
That's right.
I audited a couple of gyms. It's my job.
Yeah.
Sometimes I say, we'll provide you with a full audit. And we'll call them. We'll first go to their Facebook, claim the lead, see when the heck they're going to call us. 3 days later, the call comes in. Like, come on. I'm all the way in a member. I already sweat and I'm already sore from other workouts.
That's right.
Like, think about it. How long after you claim it? Then you start like, okay, conversation. That initial conversation, people forget how employees handle your calls. When I started recording the calls and giving those recordings to some business owners, I've seen some layoffs because people were horrible handling those calls. Then I do this. Go and call 5 of your competitors. Yes. We did 5 competitors. We showed them their call and 5 competitors. Like, tell yourself honestly, which one would you sign up with knowing that these 5 calls you made? And they will just nod their head like, oh my God, what is going on? It's a painful experience to audit your own process. It's really painful. I recommend everybody doing it. Be mystery shopper in your own business. And then come to park the car in front of the gym. If your employees are parking in the first spot next to the door, come on, kick them out to the last one. Free up that spot. Your employee should be the last one to park. Let them walk. And then, of course, inside experience is such a remarkable thing that, you cannot do that to yourself, but you can hire some cousin to go there and to give you the insights.
Yep.
It's simple things to do in such a remarkable change that can happen. Small things. And then you will stop complaining about leads being bad. Nobody answered my phone call. Like, The marketing is expensive and so many other things. Referrizer is giving your gym a special 90-day free trial of the Reputation Max package. Oh my God. With this, you can get 3 to 10 times more reviews, automate everything, and even use AI to help reply to reviews, all while keeping your gym safe from bad one-star reviews. This offer is only for short time, and it's available for the first 10 listeners of each episode. Go to topratedgym.com/3 free months to grab this deal.
Yes.
I run a company that helps businesses increase their online reputation. And first thing we do, we ask their customers for the feedback. And if it's good feedback, we help them boost their Google reputation. And then one of my clients came in and was like, yeah, I didn't get any Google reviews. And then we'll look at the data. They get 17 bad reviews collected privately. And all of them have same experience, dirty bathrooms, equipment not being maintained, and so on.
Right.
And he's the owner who owns the location, not operates them. It's investor relationships. And then it was eye-opening. But every time he visits, they clean it up. But when you ask your customers how they feel about your business, it's a different game.
That's right.
Different game. Now, a lot of these parts are taking a role. It's all about choice. Who do you choose to hire? Who do you choose to fire? Who do you choose to work with? Now you have a relationship being both buyer and seller of the services. I would love to get your experience now as a buyer. Like put yourself in the shoes as a gym owner and you're looking for the vendor. Mm-hmm. What do you look in the vendor? How do you choose one?
That's a great question.
How would you go in selecting?
Yeah, well, I'm somewhat both biased and the beneficiary of relationships. I have an advantage, I feel I do at least, because I know most of the resources and I have a general understanding of what kind of CRM, what kind of different equipment, what kind of different flooring, you name it, around a facility. And I kind of know who those people are already because I've been around a long time. But for people that haven't, obviously, you want to talk to other credible people that you can trust that aren't necessarily vendors. You want to define very specifically before you talk to a vendor what it is you think you're looking for. And, I like social proof. So if I was a person that's just kind of new to the industry, I didn't know as many people as I know now, I get on the internet and I start looking at different content and see who's reacting to who's really credible. And it's amazing to me, like people do this with me all the time. They reach out and they say, can you help me? And there are a lot of people that just help you. Like I've helped people all over the world. We're looking at a CRM. What do you think about these choices? And then I can ask them, well, what are you trying to do? What's the nature of your model? How are you? And so sometimes I think it's important when it comes to looking for a buyer is to have a decent idea of what you're really trying to do to start. And the other thing is imitation's a great form of flattery. The other thing is if you are a certain type of concept, let's say you're a small group training gym or you're a boutique that's doing cycling, find the top operators in the world that operate your type of concept and identify what are those vendors they're working with around their user experience. And then when you define that, then I would, I always like to do a very simple request for proposal with information on it and submit it to a few credible people and then ask them to tell me what it is they think and why I should consider them. And that's what my approach would be.
And you said something critical that resonates with me. Be very clear about what you want to accomplish and work with people that work with your type of concept, operates that. Because let's say example, you're looking for ad agency. Everybody can run the ads on a Facebook. Everybody can take a picture, put the ads, create a funnel, send you leads. But if you run an agency that never did a fitness boutique, Pilates studios in New York, and you're there, you will be paying for their education.
That's right.
They'll be running experiments. And out of 11, they'll find one. And they'll say, good, we got it. That's right. Versus working with somebody who has done it, have experience, work this thing out. They'll run 2 or 3 experiments, just to make sure that they nail it and they'll get you out so much quickly. And you want a predictable results. It can be vendor for equipment as well.
Yes.
Do not look to buy something that's cheap, that's going to break down. Look for something that's going to stick with you in the worst possible scenarios. Because think about your own member. This is me speaking now. I don't have experience buying equipment, but here's how I would do it, and you correct me. I would look to what is experience of my customer using that equipment. How long that machine will be off with that sign out of order before it gets fixed.
Right.
What's the speed to recovery, and how often that sign will go on it.
That's right.
Because people, it's not all about bottom line in your pocket, because it's about long term. What do you serve, and what's the user experience you deliver with every piece of the information? There's always cheap and quality. So
oh, that's so true. I think you're right. In our business, for example, we have Stairmaster, which is the number one commercial equipment brand in the world. And there are other steppers, but we have a huge share of the market because the thing's built like a tank and it doesn't break. So, and people know it. And so that's why Equinox and other brands all over the world buy those things, because they are bulletproof and they work and people love them. So you're right. You don't want to have those things breaking down.
Exactly. I remember talking to one founder who designed one of those original blenders for the bars, man. And they're 40 years in the business. Every bar used them, and they are awfully heavy, ugly, totally outdated and looks like design. And they're in the business, and everybody buys them for one reason. They don't break.
That's right.
It just keeps running. It's like almost from the Second World War look, big, bulky, heavy, but it just operates and it's indestructible. This is what you want in a business. You want a peace of mind. You don't want a car that breaks down and you wear to work and you are leaving people hanging. That's what people talk about.
Yes.
Oh, nice. So I hope this is very valuable for the people. And if you guys are listening to this and you want to get more information about your questions, there will be a comment section either on YouTube or Spotify. Just ask your questions. Next time when we bring Bryan on the call, we might have your questions, because this is a very incredible conversation. Usually I prepare the questions, guys, for everybody to know for the podcast. This is totally out of the script. This is us going random, having conversation that helps you. I hope you guys can feel this. Now, let's talk about growing the business. One of the two components goes there: getting more members and retaining more members. A lot of people think it's all about getting leads and converting them. I believe it's more important on retention side.
Yes.
The industry, the players. Can you recognize 1, 2, 3 patterns that good retaining businesses have that others don't? Or maybe something to avoid?
They keep their customers a lot longer, because the cost of keeping a customer is a lot cheaper than getting a new one. And they're great at service and they earn trust. And when you do that, you get stickiness and your cost of operating is much lower because you're not spending a ton of money on acquisition. That's the ideal world. What's interesting about that, Andre, and you probably would agree with this, is when in our own clubs or when I've sat down with other brands, the first questions I ask them are, show me your patterns of acquisition and retention. And don't look at averages. Look at medians and standard variation. And then also look at cohorts. A lot of people look at these in the aggregate, and it can be very misleading. So, for example, you can show that your retention rates are pretty decent, but when you break down what you're doing, as a way of example, let's say you ran a low price acquisition play, and you're still looking at your numbers in the aggregate, you might not realize that all those people you're spending money and driving leads in at the discount are all churning every 90 days. And so there's no residual benefit. So what's happening is your long-term people are being undermined by these churns here, that if you stop doing that, if you paid attention to what you had, it might be a better approach. So you have to know your numbers, and another thing I ask all the time is that looking at the square footage, looking at the kind of facility, what is the capacity you don't want to go past? That's another thing, because there's this sweet spot, because you don't want your facility to be too overcrowded or overused, leading to bad experience for users.
Yeah.
But there's usually this sweet spot, and then you're looking at your dollars and your competitive market, and you can start figuring out sometimes it's better to have fewer members that you retain longer at a higher price. But sometimes people are so scared to take price up, or they feel compelled to discount when they shouldn't. And all these things, that's again the money thing, MUNE, is these things interplay: mindset, user experience, new economics, and execution engine. So these are the kind of things I talk about when I'm thinking about what you just brought up.
I believe some people for the first time heard about cohort churn.
Yeah.
Because everybody looks average. Put Excel spreadsheet, average, and that's the worst possible thing you can do.
That's right.
It's like, standard deviation. Do you guys know what it means? If it doesn't, go consult somebody who does, because you will see what it means to have a member who never left you. Like, how can you get more of those? And these are easy, quick churners, deal seekers, class pass people, walk-ins and outs. Those are junk food for your body.
That's right.
This is a sugar rush that you get, burn through it, create the toxics, and then you gotta do a lot more work to clean it up.
Oh, yeah.
It ages your business faster, it makes you sick, and it doesn't contribute. You need broccolis in your stuff. You need you need good ones that you. And interestingly enough, same customer can be on both sides of the equation. Can be burning one. It's just how you introduce them to the business. Deal seekers, group on deals, same people can be long-lasting members.
Right.
Cohort churn. Since we started doing this in our company, we understood like 90 days is a critical experience for the people to do this. You take care of them for 90 days, they become a part of the family. They become part of the culture. But you got to design 90 days of experience. How do they feel and experience and talk about it? It's all about how you present it. And then after that, it goes way further. I love the gym where I am at. The first thing I came in, they had a leaderboard. It was like 50 classes, 100 classes, 200 classes, 500 classes. Like, my God, people are sticking to it. And it somehow subconsciously says, I want to get on this board. But I know I'm never going to be the person who has 500 classes, right? But I'm going to get there. And it's almost like, what do you do to subconsciously drive people to think this is the place they belong? It's not a weight loss program. It's a lifestyle program. It's not quick and fix. It's not January 1st. Let me get rid of my belly fat and a holiday a feast. It's how it becomes a lifestyle. And changing the messaging, changing the mission, changing your care and intention, it changes how they perceive your gym as a place to be.
Yes, so true. I agree with that completely. And to your point, it's so ironic because there are some very highly touted operators that when I go in and say, show me your data, they're not looking at cohorts. And you would think they would. And it's just so interesting to me. So I'm glad that you pick up on that and you understand.
You're the first one of my guests. Every time I ask, what's the KPI you're running? Yeah. How do you measure business? How quickly you get data? How often do you look at it? I got to tell you, since I'm running a podcast, nobody ever mentioned cohort. Nobody ever mentioned standard deviation. Honestly, it's such a huge, and there's a TED talk that talks about that when they says, oh, this is how we in statistic world works. We put a chart, we plot it, and there's always some kind of data point that sticks out. Yep. And we usually delete it because it's messed up with our data.
That's right.
So it's like, let's make it average so people can understand. Instead of looking why this thing is sticking out, why it's so much different and better than anybody else, let's learn from that instead of deleting it.
Yes.
And if you don't understand it, it's like, it's a trouble. You cannot run on hamstrings expecting and do the same thing over and over, expecting different results.
That's right. Because you can have a standard deviation for the crowd listening is very simple. So if you had 10 members, right, and 60% of them were churning fast and 4 were out here 5 years, you could look at an average lifetime value and say, oh, that's not too bad. It's 20 months. when really it's just an average of all these extreme points, and you could really misunderstand what's going on in your business.
Correct. Instead of understanding what's my potential lifetime value. Oh, I
Correct.
can have 5 years, 60 months.
Yes.
How
Yes.
do I learn from the healthy ones and cross-pollinating everything? What brought them into the business? Why they're here? Interview them, put them
Yes.
on a podcast, create your own podcast, make understanding,
Right.
learning what's going on in their world and why they're there with you.
Yes.
And then it's going to change the game. Like we all
Yes.
forget why we are something. And ask yourself, think about 3 businesses that now this is for guests. Where are you most loyal to? Like, why you're loyal to that business? Something that you're using for years, either software, might be something you operate on a daily basis, weekly, monthly basis. What brand and why? How did you find them? How did they find you? Think about it.
Right.
What value, what experience, why did you stick well? Because we all have this bad experience that sometimes wants to kick us out from the brand and something happened that they deliver absolutely incredible customer service and we say, oh my God, they care.
Yes.
It is incredible. Oh my God. Listen, Bryan, we can talk about this, and I hope this community is saying, "Damn, I gotta listen to this while I'm not driving, so I can take some notes."
Well, we could talk more, but I know we're limited on time. But I mean, we could go on for another 3 or 4 hours, I'm sure, sharing notes from the war zone.
Whoa, whoa! Listen, you are encyclopedia of the knowledge in this world. I gotta ask you a question that I hope I will benefit as well tremendously. You collected mass amount of knowledge over the decades. Can you share with me and the audience, where do you get your knowledge from? Like, what is the book, resources, conferences you're attending where you supply yourself with the knowledge? And
Yeah.
that's
Well, so
not.
I listen. Yeah, I listen to a lot of podcasts. I've listened to your podcast. I do my own podcast. I read incessantly, so I'm always reading books. I'm on Haral Yavari's The Nexus right now. I watch a lot of YouTube lectures, and it's in this industry space. So I attend Europe Active's event every year. I attend URSA every year, Health and Fitness Association's conference. I attend conferences. And of course, another thing is because I keynote. When my keynotes, I have to do a lot of continual research to keep that top of mind. So it forces me to study. So when I went to Beyond Active in New York a few weeks ago, I did a panel with the heads of franchise development for Pure Gym, for Planet Fitness, and for Self-Esteem Brands, which is the Anytime and their family of brands. And so I did a presentation and I asked questions, and then I did a keynote a few days later for the Alloy Personal Training Franchise Conference in Atlanta. So
We work with
when
them,
I
yeah.
go out, yeah, I have to be on my game because I don't want anyone to call me out. So I feel a sense of needing to stay on top of that. And then the other thing is I've collaborated and written 8 books with leaders across the industry space on everything we're talking about, customer service trends. So it forces you to research a lot and constantly be learning, and from both inside the industry and outside, what's happening and why.
Wow. So pretty much you had put such a high level of expectations on yourself because you're part of the industry and leader in front of the industry and says, okay, my job responsibility is to be a resource and I got to supply myself so I can deliver it.
Yes. Yes, that's
Wow.
part of it. And the other side of it is, Andre, is I'm also a practitioner. So I run these businesses. So there's the theory, the head in the clouds, the theory. Then there's the execution, the hands in the dirt. And to have both those things together, it gives you a perspective, a contextual perspective about what's happening and why, because you're not always 100% right, but you can have thoughts and insights, and then you have to see, all right, what's actually happening and why, and knowing it works. And then you really can speak from a place of experience. And experience takes time. You have to stub
Yes.
your toe.
I always says experience is equal to 50 years you can spend by trying, trial and error, gain experience. But you can do also 5 years of research, gain same amount of outcome. Research, go dig deep or learn.
Yeah.
But there's something even faster called modeling. If you find successful model, that's where the franchising world is such a huge. There's a model that works. You don't need to research. You don't need to try and error. Just copy what works and you'll get the same outcome, period.
Yes. Yes.
So, a lot of time, you just need to find yourself a model that works. You mentioned podcast. I would love you to kind of tell people what's the name of your podcast, because they are curious now. It's like, damn, let me search for this. Like, how the heck do I find this on?
It's Fitness Plus Technology Podcast. We've done, I think, 170 episodes over the last 7 years, I think. So not a huge number, but we interview a lot of the leading people in the space around the world, and we talk about it in the context of technology as part of the nonprofit consortium I head up, which is the Fitness Industry Technology Council. So you can find it on any of the podcast networks. It's Fitness Plus Technology, the plus sign.
Got it. Guys, one without another, there's no success without it. Oh man, time flies so fast. Listen, listeners now are really curious. I'm curious, and they want to know more. I would love to ask you, how do they find more information about you? I would love you to tell people, because you are everywhere. You're a speaker, you're a vendor, you're a supplier, you're a franchisee. What's your mission now, and how people can reach out to you and get more information about you?
Yeah, you can Google me, Bryan O'Rourke, O'Rourke. Connect with me on LinkedIn. Just Google me. I'm all over the social channels. I try not to overdo it, but I'm readily available and I share thoughts and wisdom there. And so just Google my name and you'll see plenty of places to connect and learn more.
Guys, all his ventures will be in a show notes and LinkedIn profile with your permissions. Go check it out. Take a look and what it takes to build awesome businesses and learn more. Join his podcast and let's develop this community even further. Bryan, you are incredible. On behalf of this community, I appreciate you and I thank you for the wisdom you shared today and for all your advices. We are all hungry for more, so looking forward to see you again in the future.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for inviting me on, and I enjoyed the conversation. And thanks to your listeners. Hope this was helpful for listening in.
And for you guys to say thank you to Bryan for his wisdom, you have responsibility. Click here and share. We'll be looking how many times did you share with your peers. Make sure this goes viral. Talk to you guys soon. See you next time. Bye, everybody. If you are a gym owner looking to become a top-rated gym in your area, visit topratedgym.com and grab our free 30-day reputation boost. That's topratedgym.com. I'll add it to the show notes for you. Don't forget to share this with your friends. Stay strong, stay motivated, and keep pushing your gym to the top. Until next time, this is Andre signing off.